One person, one like. I hope they can hear me. Hey, Carol, how are you? James Estrada, how are you? Karen, Shari. Hey, Russell Porter. What's up, Glenn? Kakalina, how are you this evening? What's up, Gun? What's up, Jesse? Good. How are you? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, the lost one. What's up, Brian, Sonic, Fox, Jerry Burns? Greetings from Germany. I think W's are with V's, so that'd be Werder Bremen. Hey, Lily Queen's mom. Delirium, what's up, Daniel? Peter Parsons, hey, Janie. Caden, how are you, buddy? We haven't had any drones up in the Adirondacks, no. What's up, Otis Driftwood? How are you, brother? JP, how are you? Wesley September. Hey, Sonia, how are you? Adam, what's going on? It's pronounced Werder. All right. What's up, Ford Sucks? Hey, Josie. Gringo, what's going on? What's up, Girth? Frank Morris. Jeff, how are you? Ohio Hurricane. I'm well. You? I hope you're doing well. DB Mac, what's going on, my friend? Thank you for asking. It's feeling better. Still a little sore. My jaw bones are sore from the anchor points healing around them, I guess. It's kind of hard to get used to. I'm biting my tongue, like the sides of my tongue, a lot now. Can you? I missed what Lily said. Hang on one second. Let me see if I can find it. Can you? Where's the rest of the question? I know the upload that you're talking about, though. Gigi, how are you? Good to see you. Gigi. What's up, Troy? Arthur Ostrander, MJ Bates, how are you, dear? Crazy Backyard Chicken Man, what's going on? Thank you, Janie. Claire, how are you? I'm doing well, thank you. In Flagstaff, that interview about. What's up, Dalton? How are you? Yeah, that was a crazy interview. You're absolutely right. Let the toe hair pictures begin. Larry Lindman, thank you so much. Thank you. Girth, I didn't take any medication actually, so I think I said that last week when you were here. Lindman, thank you so much, my brother. I truly appreciate you. Yeah, it's weird. I thought there'd be a lot more pain. it's more like a throbbing kind of, and I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like I'm trying to, I can't explain the pain. Like I tried to explain it to my dad, and it like my jaw hurts right here, but other than that, like there's no, like I thought there would be like a sharp pain. You know what I mean? I'm on vacation until I complete anger management. Did you go nuts on somebody, Larry? Someone at the hospital pissed you off. You probably karate chopped him right in the throat. Sturge, Maine. Well, I had them. I had teeth the whole time, crazy beard. Like I had veneers, but the roots were getting rotten from how the dentist had done them. So I just opted to get the implants put in. Hey, Tommy, how are you? Good to see you. Bruce Bissell, what's going on, brother? Richard Minnick, thank you so much, my friend. No, we haven't seen any drones. No drones up here. The crazy thing is people up here would take a shot at one, though. You know? We're totally different than upstate New York, or upstate New York is totally different than like the city. Stacy Ross, thank you so much. I think I think Jersey's just been the hot spot, to be honest with you. But there's been a whole bunch of bullshit lies about everything. And so I'm not really sure where you're located. Lake George region. That's where I'm located, right at the foothills of the Adirondacks. Jersey Nightcat, thank you so much, dearie. And yes, I can play the Hebrew horn tonight, and it is 14 degrees out, so I will open the window, but I will quickly shut it back. What's up, Shackleneck? How are you, brother? Moondog, I love the Melvins. I've loved the Melvins since I was well, I got introduced to them when I was in high school, actually. Like when they were just like a Seattle kind of, like when, I don't know, I got hooked on the Melvins when I my friends all like Green River and shit like that, and I like the Melvins because they were just a little dirtier, on the down low. They seemed in the beach. No kidding. Some of my stitches have fallen out, Janie. Some of them have fallen out. What's up, Jody Bateman? How are you, buddy? New Grill is doing great, Richard. Thank you. Delirium, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I really, really do. But I'll give you all a smile. There you go. Yeah, I was kind of thinking like, I'm doing well, Jody. Thank you, actually. Thank you very much. Do you ever listen to... No, I've never heard. I will check that out tonight, though. Thank you, Lily. I was thinking about what Lost One had said, or not Lost One, Werder said. Werder. I'm just going to call you Werder. because that's more comfortable for me. No, I'm just kidding. But I was thinking, what if these things are UAPs instead of like, because like they made that whole, they're Iranian drones the size of school buses. And I was like, that's just fucking weird, like, one, how the hell did we ever allow an Iranian vessel to even get into our, safe zone of our country? It's just like, fuck that. Just, I think it's more, if it's anything, it's UAP by American government, probably fucking doing something illicit that they shouldn't be doing. Thank you, MJ. Thank you. Yeah, I think some are like, yeah, I agree, MJ. Some are like misidentification and stuff. Like, I don't even think like people are seeing them in the night sky. So might be something completely different. Oh my God, Jeff said the F word. I always say the F word, drunken ant. Red Cardinal, that's what we were talking about right when you popped in, brother. Pops, I'm feeling much better. Thank you for asking, and I'm glad that you're here with us tonight. What's up, Mark? How are you? Winter Sky, how are you? Well, so I don't know what, I guess people consider that whatever happened up where Tom Mezek disappeared, because I had caught something coming off the hill. And this is going out to Mac Mark, his question. I believe what I saw and caught on video, just that small clip, was a Dogman or a Bigfoot, but I lean more towards Dogman because it was so fast. But it's, I don't know. I don't consider it like a full-blown encounter, even though it was there. I hope I never do, because I don't ever want to see. And if I have to see one, I hope that it's like totally different than what I saw in 1994, because that one just messed me up for a long time. Like I still sometimes think about it. Thanks, you're drunken ant. I hate my haircut terribly, actually. I can't wait until my hair grows back. It's growing. It's starting to grow. I'll probably shave my beard like 5 more times, and then it'll grow back. That way it like all comes back in good. Underboss. No, they're not all vicious, and I don't think anyone said that either. Yeah, Winter Sky. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about the ads on it. Thanks, Janie. Mark. No. Send me an email. Jeff, is it true you didn't have dental surgery? You were actually bitten by a lot lizard. You weren't supposed to let the fucking cat out of the bag, Girth. What's up, James Moses? How are you, my friend? Thank you. It feels too cold for snow up here. It's like 14. Thanks, Gigi. No, I do not, Scott. I don't have any ammo. I have nothing. Well, put me on the fucking list. What's up, Andy Davis? How are you, buddy? Love the love. How are you? Thank you. I am feeling better. I'm feeling much better. I'm actually glad I can drink hot coffee now, though. Because it sucked. I had to, like, when I made a cup of coffee, I had to put an ice cube in it. But I do have some lot lizard experiences tonight. And I got a whole bunch of experience. Gringo, thank you so much. I truly appreciate that. Let's see who got one. Awesome. Thanks, Gringo. Puma Pete's in here? I didn't see Puma Pete, but what's up, Puma Pete? Huh. That's cool. I think I would like to see a Bigfoot, like from a distance, maybe from a car driving really fast. But I really think that whatever was on, DW says, what up? What up, Enki? How are you? Whatever was behind me in the woods when I was where Mezek disappeared, I believe, James Moses, thank you so much. Truly appreciate that. I believe that was a Bigfoot. I don't think that was a Dogman. I really think that there are more Bigfoot in the Adirondacks than Dogmen. And I don't know why. It's just my own personal opinion on that. David Thompson, how are you, my friend? Truth Quest, what's going on? I know you definitely will. Haven't seen you in a while, Enki. Glad that you're here with us. Aramik will pop in soon. All right. We'll start the night off with one hell of a good one. What's up, John Sumner? How are you, buddy? Hi, Strangeness. COVID Denier, how are you? We'll start the night off with a really decent, longer experience. So, in October of 2015, when I was 17 years old, I was living in Lynn County, Iowa. I was hanging out with my boyfriend at the time and one of his friends. Now, one thing to put out there is that this friend was pretty outdoorsy kind of guy. He wasn't scared of much. He grew up hunting and was always out exploring the woods at all hours. Living in a small town with lots of parks and surrounded by wooded areas, there wasn't a whole lot to do, so exploring the woods was the typical thing for really any of us to do. I never used to be afraid of the woods until after this experience. On this particular night, his friend decided that he wanted to go spotlight hunting. Yeah, it's illegal, but we were kids and I had no idea at the time. We drove out to an area on a gravel road in my boyfriend's car. There used to be a bridge that went across the river, but it had burnt and eventually torn down, so it was closed off. And the end of the gravel had become overgrown with grass, weeds, and such. There's a tall bridge off in the distance. Actually, it's a bridge for our little town. It's very well known, for it has a lot of history. We were out there miles away from town and from any houses. We found a place to pull over near the end of the gravel, and my boyfriend and his friend grabbed a rifle out of the trunk and their flashlight. Me, being an animal lover, I didn't feel like taking part, so I chose to stay by the car. Before my boyfriend took off into the field, he told me to give them 15 minutes, and if they did not come back, I could take his car and leave them. With that, they disappeared into the darkness. So there I was, sitting in his car. There was this metal railing in front of the car that we had pulled up to, which the guys had to climb over. On both sides of the car, there was tall grass, taller than the car. It was a bit spooky, but I tried to keep my mind busy. I turned the radio on and waited. 15 minutes did go by and they still weren't back. I hadn't heard any gunshots, so I figured maybe they weren't just having any luck. Then I got a weird feeling, a feeling of being watched enough to make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. I tried to play it off like it was my nerves. I looked up out the window to the right and I see the tall grass moving. I told myself it was just the wind. I looked out the driver's side window. The grass over there was standing still. I've seen enough horror movies to know that I didn't want to look out the right window again. Ignorance is bliss, right? I look down at my phone and do everything I can not to look up, scared I may see something that I did not want to see. Then something hit the back of the car and really hard. I looked back, but with the tint and darkness, it was impossible to see anything. So I checked the locks to make sure that I was safe and I turned up the radio. The knocking on the trunk in the back window continued on and off. At this point, it had been an hour since they left, and I was hoping it was just them playing a joke on me. I knew I couldn't leave them out there, and there was no way I was getting out of the car, so I just sat there trying to ignore whatever it was. The knock soon turned to the car shaking. I shrank down into the seat and just kept my eyes on my phone waiting for the guys to get back. After about 15 minutes, the banging stopped and I was left in silence for about another 15 when I heard the guys yelling. I sat up and flipped on the headlights to see my boyfriend, who had never touched a gun in his life, running toward the car, cradling a rifle in his arms, and vaulted over the metal railing. His friend soon came running after. I unlocked the doors and my boyfriend jumped in the driver's seat, throwing the gun in the back seat where his friend is scrambled to get in, yelling, "Go, go, go!" He quickly backed out and off we sped down that gravel road. My boyfriend's face was filled with terror, and he started yelling at his friend, "What the hell was that, man?" His friend was looking out the back windows, terrified, and exclaims, "It's following us." I was both scared and confused. I kept asking what they were talking about and what happened, but they were too busy to calm down. We sped as fast as his car would go. Once we were in the clear and safe, I asked again what happened, only to be told they did not want to talk about it. Whatever it was, it had scared them more than I had ever seen anyone scared before. We eventually got back into town and pulled up to his friend's house. We all just sat there for a moment. Both guys looked almost paralyzed, trying to figure out what they had seen. His friend finally spoke up, admitting that after whatever they encountered, he was scared to even go home alone. Reluctantly, he got out of the car, grabbing his rifle, and headed inside. I questioned my boyfriend for the next several days, but he always just got this weird look on his face and would shake his head, like he didn't believe it himself. It was apparent I would never know, and I guess a part of me was okay with that, so I stopped asking and life went on. Okay, so 9 years later, and I finally did get the answer. Like most high school relationships, my boyfriend from back then we had broken up a long time ago, and I'm actually married with 2 kids and one on the way. Well, it just so happens that my husband had this guy start working for him. It took a couple of weeks and on-the-job stories from my husband to realize that this guy was the friend of my boyfriend all those years ago. I decided to open up to my husband and tell him about this horrifying experience we all had back then. I suggested that maybe he text the guy that he worked with, the friend of my ex, and ask him about that night. And he did, and the response was not what I was expecting. He got a reply, the guy explaining how that night still haunts him to this day. He told them about how they were out in the field not having much luck. They heard a whole bunch of birds in the grass suddenly take flight, making a ruckus and giving the guys a bit of a jump. They went over to the area with a flashlight on, and that's when they saw it. He said that it was unusually tall and very skinny and lanky. It was pale. It was odd enough to see anyone out there at that time of the night, let alone being out in the large field lined with the forest. He just didn't belong. He then went on to say the weirdest thing about this creature was its voice. It was very abnormal and unexpectedly high-pitched like a child. What did it say? Well, this is the part that sends shivers down my spine. Apparently, this creature or whatever said you might want to check on the girl you left back in the car. His friend described how they ran back to the field across the ditch and back to the car. He said they were running as fast as they could, and this creature was running parallel to them, but through the wooded area, a much harder route. And yet, it was keeping pace with them. The trees and terrain didn't slow it down at all, and they sprinted back to me in the car. That's when we started speeding back home. He said when he looked back, he saw this creature step over the metal barrier on the road. They had to vault and climb over it, but this thing just stepped over it like it was nothing. So here I am. My experience finally concluded 9 years later. Although I did try to research similar encounters, I cannot find anything. The only thing I know for sure is whatever it was not human. I don't know if it was a ghost, a mystery of nature, or what. So I guess what I am here to find out is, has anyone ever heard or had an experience with something like this? I think it was a crawler, but I might be wrong. I don't know. I like the mystery of nature too. But hey Marge, how are you? But I think it was a crawler. I don't know. I've never heard them talking. It is Blue Days. I've never heard of one. Crawler Mark Lemaster is the real name for the rake. Rake is just a creepy pasta name. Aramec, what's going on? What's up, Amber? How are you? Papa Bear. And but like there's a couple of different Dogman experiences that I shared that they've talked or had some sort of vocalization. What's up, Ray? Headed to bed. Rafe Beaver, have a good night. Thank you for joining us for a little bit. Alan Howell, thank you so much, my friend. I don't get a hello, Aramic. God damn it. Just kidding, brother. What's up, Nez? What's up, Flat Earth? How are you? Yeah, that experience, I agree with you, Mark, because when I had my experience, it was in 94, and I still can't wrap my head around it. And how he explained, or how this woman explained how that creature was running addicted to knowledge. Thank you so much. Thank you. How they explained it was running parallel to them and not through the field, but through the wooded area. And it was still ahead of them a little bit, is exactly how that Dogman ran through the woods in debris and shit. And we're in a car on the road and it still met us, which was just amazingly fast. What's up, San Francisco Bay Wastewater Ops? Billy Blue, he needed the money. Absolutely. I agree 100%, Billy. I don't drink anything. COVID denier. I am 100% sober at all times. Well, I don't know who that is, Mark, but I'd like to have you on sometime if you're interested. Are skinwalkers and crawlers the same thing? No. Randall Kennedy, thank you so much. Maggie Mayhem, no. Skinwalkers are the Navajo black shaman, like black magic shaman. And most Native American tribes have their own version of a skinwalker, which would just be a shapeshifter. Skinwalker, Ye Natalushi, is the term that the Navajo coined. And the crawlers they don't transform. They don't do anything except fucking act weird in trees in the woods. I myself think that they were a creation from the alien agenda, or whatever you want to call it, from deep underground military bases. What's up, Clint? How are you, buddy? Wendigo is it's an evil spirit that is, I'm trying to think of the right word to use, that so if a Native American, usually from Algonquin, Mohawk, or Huron, northeastern American, the belief is that if they did the most unspeakable, which would be kill and eat a family member, the spirit of the Wendigo would possess them. And it usually, in the museum on the Aquatic reservation, where I have family that live there, there's a painting, a beautiful painting, and I'll never forget it. I saw it when I was really young, and it depicts a Wendigo in its three forms: this emaciated human, a black kind of mist, and this large kind of cryptid-like creature. I don't consider them a cryptid, though, because one, it's not like, it's lore. That Reddit in Hollywood kind of fucked everything up by like saying it has a deer head and this and that, which it doesn't. So, like, creepypastas messed everything up. They took Indian lore and created cryptids, and people were like, oh my God, that's so terrifying. Yeah, it's terrifying, but it's not true. I mean, there's been numerous accounts of. So I do have a feral human lost one. Actually, the upload that will end the night and begin the day is a feral human experience. So after our live stream. Why haven't Dogman? Well, Truth Quest, I mean, feral human are pretty powerful themselves, So I don't think they would, dogmen have fought in with crawlers, and crawlers have fought in with dogmen and killed dogmen, and both vice versa. So I don't think feral human would, the Hat Man. Now we're getting into like creepypasta zone and like spirits and stuff, paranormal. I think the Hat Man is more or less like an inorganic being that feeds off of our fear. I don't think there's like a Hat Man. I think it's like something that feeds off of our fear, like some sort of really nasty kind of spirit. Thanks, Amber. I don't know everything. I don't know shit. I just share my experiences and ideas. Yeah, spirit, like I more or less not a spirit, like a demonic spirit or something. But there's this thing called inorganic beings, and there's been studies on them, and they're supposed to be dimensional, and scientists have actually done studies on them. Look it up. It's pretty cool. I did an upload about it like 2 years ago, but they live dimensionally, and they will actually present themselves to a random person, whatever their fear is, and feed off of that fear and energy and shit like that. Cheers from Watertown. Watertown's a nice little area up there. I remember when I was living in Messina, we met some girls at the Messina Mall that were from Watertown and hooked up with them. We drove to Watertown from Messina to hook up with some girls. Yeah, Jersey Nightcat. Like, almost like a vampire, like an energy vampire. 100%, Clint. 100%. I truly, truly believe that shadow people are truly real. I don't know what the hell they are. I don't even want to know what the hell they are, but they scare the bejesuses out of me. Especially that one from Caramel. I think it's Caramel, Maine. That channel where he's got that video and he walks up the stairs and he's got his camera and he points it into the room and it looks like there's a human being behind his fucking curtains. And you see it just like drop. Like, I'm getting cold chills thinking about it right now. The shadow people of Carmel, Maine. Yeah, that's what it is. Claire, they have not met each other. They talk to each other through the door. I think Tigger wants to give him hugs. Just like, I think Tigger wants to like love him up a little bit. But the kitten's a fucking crazy man. Like, the other day I went in and I wasn't talking to him. I was talking to Isabel and I'm like petting him. And then I walk back and he jumps onto me, like claws out, back claws and front claws, and hit me here in my stomach and like stayed there. And I'm like, holy shit, dude. Like, and I fucking threw him like that, but he's trying to bite me. He's been debunked multiple times. Yeah, it's kind of hard to debunk somebody when you're not there. Like, if somebody can sit at home and watch a video and debunk them. It's like that guy that talks to Goldfish saying he debunked the Andrew Dawson case, but he didn't. It's kind of hard to debunk it when he didn't. Whoever said they debunked it didn't go. Because he's got mad fucking videos of it. So I'd have to disagree with you on that one. All right. This one goes out to my boy Aromick. Because Aromick is the biggest believer and fan of the Mothman. Like, he's got a ton of shit dedicated to the Mothman. Books. He's working on his own book right now about the Mothman and how much he loves him. I saw a flying human that was all black in 2018 and 19 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. There was an LNHL going on. I was with my best friend and her mom driving somewhere. I can remember every detail, but her mom was driving and all of a sudden her mom spots something in the sky and she was like, "What is that? Can you guys see it?" She points at it and I look up and I see this all black looking figure far up, but not far enough that you could not see its shape. It looked like a human with wings, but the being was black, and I've heard stories about the Mothman. I was 11 at the time, and I told her, I think that's the Mothman. They kind of didn't respond to me, like I was unheard. I said it one more time. I saw something else when I was in 6th grade while I was snowshoeing next to the school. I was up ahead and was waiting for my friend to come around the corner of the trail. Once she came around the corner, something caught my eye. I'd say like 15 trees behind her to the right. And it was a pitch black being. It was so tall, I couldn't see the top half because the upper half of the trees were blocking its top half. All I saw was its legs of it walking toward the right. I felt so drawn to go see what it was. I wanted to go over there, but my teacher said I couldn't and told me I didn't see a thing and that things like that do not exist. I went and told my grandmother, and she said, "Good thing your teacher didn't let you go. It was trying to lure you because you felt so drawn to it." You said that, right? And I agreed, and she told me if I ever saw anything that didn't seem to be part of our dimension and felt drawn to see what it was, that meant it was trying to lure me in and never let my curiosity get the better of me when it comes to something like that. This was not a Bigfoot. I believe it was something from our dimension trying to lure me in. Everyone would be surprised if they knew how much is really out there. Yeah, Red Cardinal, I don't know what the deal with the drones are, but I have to agree with Misguided Angel. Because they are it's kind of like there's so many lies. Like, I forget who that guy was that said they were Iranian fucking drones and the populace should be terrified. And then he fucking retracts his statement the next day. And, I mean, I think it's just our government using something that, some experimental drone, whatever. And, I don't know. Who knows? Black-eyed kid. Here we go. Okay, here's my experience. I had just heard of black-eyed kids about 4 years after my encounter. I've experienced so much, but this was my first and last of its kind. I took my kid to a pharmacy store to get the meds after she had her wisdom teeth taken out. I parked the car and locked her inside with the AC running since she was groggy from the procedure, and it was hot outside. It was 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and I'm frantically looking for medication and pudding cups to make her feel comfy while chastising myself for not doing it before I took her. There are like 40 people in the store, 6 people in line for meds, 4 people sitting waiting, others just milling about. There's a kid with almost white blonde hair sitting in a chair wearing a long sleeve black hoodie. The hood was down and he was reading a paper. Gringo, thank you so much. And he was reading a paper. I was trying to be considerate and squeezed past him several times. As I ricocheted around looking for stuff, trying to get out and back to my daughter, I was 2 feet from him. His face was incredibly pale white with no expression, and his eyes were all black. I got a good look and tried not to stare. I had a feeling like it would be bad if he did look at me. He held the newspaper open in front of him, not moving his head as if reading it. He remained still. This was 2015 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My kid actually walked into the store, so I quickly left as she was out of it. How many teenagers have you seen reading a newspaper and wearing long jeans and a heavy black hoodie in the sweltering July heat? Andy, have a good night. Thank you for joining us tonight, brother. Yes, Kirk. Yup. Or Kurt. Yeah. Mysterious Middle East gave me a shout out, which was awesome because I love him. Like, I love his research. He's a very thorough researcher. And I saw someone had mentioned the channel that I said talks to goldfish. Eremic, thank you so much, my friend. And I was not insulting the channel. I'm just saying it's easy to debunk something and make a video of it from sitting in your computer. Like, I could make a video debunking a whole bunch of shit, but I think to debunk something. But then I found Andrew Dawson's funeral, like where his memorial was held, and he truly did die. Thank you, Fenor. Truly appreciate that. Aramic, thank you for blessing so many people. It is 59th. I can't wait until it's grown back. I miss it so bad. His wife, actually, Andrew Dawson's wife, is she's on TikTok still to this day, and she makes videos in memory of him, you know. And that, ironically enough, that mountain, see, there's people that say the mountain that he saw that thing on and took video of, there's people that say that Canoe Mountain there's a ski resort there. And that's not true. There's an old radio tower / weather station thing there that looks identical to the Archuleta Mesa where Dulce deep underground military bases. The ski resort thing is a mountain over, and people were like, when they were trying to figure out where it was, got it confused. There was a guy that has a YouTube channel, and he actually snowshoed out to this like abandoned building. And he said he had gotten this weird feeling like he had opened this kind of metal door, like large metal door, and got a really weird feeling there. But I think there is a deep underground military base underneath that mountain. All right, so I'm going to give you guys the choice. The choice is crawler or aquatic humanoid. Crawler or aquatic humanoid, you pick. Aquatic, crawler, chud. Aquatic. It's pretty much a tie. It's fucking a tie. Who do I leave it up to? Who do I leave it up to? Let me think. I will when I'm ready, Kurt W. I will when I'm ready. All right, we're going to do both, obviously. I'm going to leave it up to Caden. Caden, you pick. Crawler or aquatic? Leave it up to the Electoral College. All right, crawlers. Caden picked it. Crawlers, here we go. Thank you, Caden. And then right after, we'll do the aquatic, and then I'll play the Hebrew horn for y'all. My house has always been creepy. Growing up, I've had unexplained experiences starting from the time when I was 4 and never stopping. I live in rural Kentucky, one of those towns that solely rely on coal and is 5 years behind the rest of the world. In general, the whole town is still covered in thick woods that appear to have not been tampered with for hundreds of years. My house is placed right in the middle of the mountains, surrounded by an extreme amount of woods and even a couple of ponds. That gives you the setting of my home. This is where the experience begins. Growing up, I was never allowed to watch shows such as Ghost Hunters or even movies like The Exorcist in my house because of the weird activity that goes on here. I'd experience it from an extremely young age, and my mom, who has lived in this house her entire life, had also. However, one night my family made an exception, and we watched a documentary about Waverly Hills together. Kyle, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate the love. At that age, I still slept in the room with my mom due to me being afraid of sleeping in the house. That night, I woke up at 3 a.m. to a feeling of something watching me. I felt extremely uneasy. I rolled over to look around the room, and my eyes locked onto something standing beside my mom. It was extremely tall, but looked as if it had a broken back. It couldn't stand up completely. It was slouched over and had extremely pale skin, and the bones were sticking out under the skin everywhere due to how skinny it was. It seemed to have long claws hanging off of both hands. Its face was sunken in, and its eyes were completely black holes. A few greasy hairs were visible on its head, but not many. It had no clothes on, nor did it have private parts. I was horrified. I rolled over and covered myself up head to toe with the covers and refused to move or look out the rest of the night, even though I was fully awake and my mom Dutch ovened me. I added that part. Eventually, my mom finally woke up in the morning. She immediately started complaining that her side was hurting. She raised her shirt to look and found a large claw mark down her side. It was 3 deep wounds that were extremely inflamed and still bleeding. I felt horrible knowing that I did that to her while I lie, that it did that to her while I lie next to her hidden. A couple of months later, I saw the creature again, although not as horrible as the first experience. I woke up to the creature slouched on the floor on my side of the bed. Oh, God, it was watching me sleep. I covered myself up again immediately, but this time got the courage to peek out and found it was still staring at me. Thank you, the wolf. I appreciate the love, my friend. I'm not sure when it went away because I did not look again. I got chills and my hair stood on end before even seeing it the first time. It had the feeling of complete evil to it. I'm 18 now and obviously sleep in my own room. However, I still live in that same house. Gringo, thank you so much. My mom still sleeps in the room where I witnessed the creature almost nightly. She has nightmares about something watching her. She has nightmares about something hiding in the paintings on her walls or something coming out of the ceiling in her room while she sleeps. There's no specific corner of the room where almost every dream seems to originate. Our cats refuse to go into that room. If anyone has any information or any folklore on what this could be, please let me know. An organic being, one of those sucking off the fear, especially off a little kid. Dude, I wouldn't move either. I got chills. Like, that would be terrifying to wake up and have that thing next to your mom. But then, like, a couple months later, you're, like, sleeping and you peek and there it is looking at you from the fucking floor. Like, I think I would just pee on it. What's up, dearie Libra poet? How are you? Yeah, I would just squeeze my little fucking noodle head and pss, pss. I'm doing well, Libra. Thank you for asking. I hope you're doing well. All right, Aquatic, and then we'll hit the horn. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know. Anything fucking with you when you sleep is just not nice. Like, it's so wrong. Like, I'd rather see like a dog man in the day than have something mess with me in my sleep or like have a hand come out from underneath your bed. Fuck that. This encounter is hard to explain. I was fishing in the river in northwestern Ontario, about 1.5 miles from my grandmother's house. I had always walked there and fished from the bank where I had gone since I was a kid. I was down fishing with my dog and was sitting, leaning against a tree. My bobber went down hard and my rod almost fell out of my hands. I figured I had a bass or maybe a catfish. For some reason, though, I started fouling my line as if something was drawing me to. My dog is freaking out, growling, and even biting my leg, trying to get me back. But I kept fouling it like I was in a trance. Then something broke the surface of the water in front of me, and all I could see was its torso and head of this greenish brown head and I saw its hand. Yeah, hand. It was pulling my line towards it. I was so scared, but couldn't stop as it brought me closer. Then my dog was between us, barking and snapping at it, and I was immediately able to suddenly go back toward the bank, leaving everything. I saw it grab my dog, and grabbing at my knife, I cut the line, which I guess broke the trance. As I struggled out of the water, I saw my dog and grabbed her and ran out of the water. I heard a weird slapping sound and a grunt and kept running until I was almost home. I saw that. My dog was hurt. One of her ears was gone and bleeding, and I finally got to the house. I was crying. I threw her into the car and drove straight to the vet, still wet and shaking. I told him something had got her and waited anxiously until he came back and said that she was lucky, that he had extracted a tooth from her skull. He said that it looked like an alligator tooth, but I knew better. I never told my family about what happened, but I damn well knew that it was not an alligator. Not in fucking Ontario, Canada. Here it is. What's up, Brad Vandy? How are you? Good seeing you. SDL, how are you, my friend? From the city. You know who hasn't been? I don't know if you guys, Eremic, thank you so much, brother. You know who hasn't been on the channel or in our lives in a long time is San Hoff. I wonder what happened to her. Here we go. $20. It's $20. That first car was a white car followed by a police officer, and he got the. I have not blown the Hebrew horn since I had surgery. So, what's up, Wayne? How are you, buddy? Johnny Ohm, he got a little wet fart. Is that one that you don't want to tell your friends about? You're like, ooh, ooh. Hey, Fire Horse. All right, we're coming up on an hour. So in maybe 5 minutes, we'll do a lot lizard story. I had a really awesome Dogman experience, I thought. All right, this one's good. This one's good. What's up, Andrea? How are you? Libra, you good, dear? ED, I do have many Australian encounters, just not tonight. SDL, thank you. I am healing well. I'm not really sure, Janie. I thought it was between your drunk aunt, but your drunk aunt said you're sorry. I looked to see what was going on. No fighting, guys. We're a family here. We love each other. All right, here we go. My girlfriend was the one that noticed them first as she was shining a flashlight around and saw two sets of yellow eyes 30 feet from us, up on a hillside, peeking around the rock at us. She told me to stop and look, and that's when I saw them as well. We sat there for maybe 30 seconds looking at them, and then one stepped out and started slowly making steps towards us. Thank you, the wolf. I yelled out to you. I said thank you. No, no one has ever. Actually, no, I think there was a couple people that did walk by once when I did the $20 is $20 thing. But I did say thank you on the first time you hit me with $9.99. So thank you again. I do appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to start over again. My girlfriend was the one that noticed them first as she was shining a flashlight around and saw two sets of yellow eyes 30 feet from us on a hillside peeking around a rock at us. She told me to stop and look, and that's when I saw them as well. We sat there for about 30 seconds looking at them, and then one stepped out and started slowly taking steps towards us. My girlfriend motioned for me to leave the area, and as we did, she said, they started moving quickly towards us. After whipping a quick U-turn and punching it back down the trail, my girlfriend suddenly said, "What the fuck is that?" And I looked in the rearview mirror and saw a bright flash of light come from behind her. I asked my girlfriend what it was because she was looking behind us the whole time. And she said a bright ball of light just shot up into the sky from their direction and disappeared. We were both freaked out, and even though I had my gun on me, I was still scared. I still think about it from time to time, overthink the situation, and scare myself just thinking about it. The second weird experience, 3 months ago, I woke up at 2:30 in the morning. I went to the kitchen to get a drink of water, and as I turned the corner to the kitchen, a bright flash of light hit me. Then all of a sudden, I felt confused and proceeded to get a drink and went back to my room. As I lied down, I looked at my phone and noticed that it was 4:05 in the morning. Like I said, this started at 2:30. I sat there trying to figure out what had happened, how I lost 2 hours of time. I still feel lost because it happened that morning. Andy Davis, I've narrated Jane's experience and Jane has shared it twice on here, but I wasn't going to do it tonight. Thank you, Jeff Curry. Good night, Donnie. Thank you for joining us. Have you ever heard it, Andy? Have you ever heard Jane's story? No. Okay. All right. So the channel's godmother is Jane. And Jane has been with my channel since day one. Like literally since day one. And she is my oldest subscriber. So Jane had an experience when she was younger, and I'm going to share that right now off the top of my head. And if I get anything wrong, Jane, um, please correct me if I do. Okay. So she and her husband were camping, and they were in Montana. Were you in Montana? I want to say Montana. Yes. So they're in Montana. They've got a tow behind trailer, and Janie had two Doberman Pinschers at the time. Really great dogs that loved her, and very protective of her. So they randomly, her husband, they're driving and just randomly pulls off and like just sporadic. And Jane's like, this isn't a campsite. But he found this like really nice little area that was secluded off the road to camp. They had started a little campfire and spent some time together. And right before bed, they had extinguished the fire. So they then go to bed, and sometime within that night till morning, she was awoken to she saw light coming from outside, and she's like, what the hell, thinking that the campfire had reignited. She looks out the window, and McGregor, thank you so much, I truly appreciate you, brother. She looks out the window and sees this enormous figure, a Bigfoot, standing by this fire pit that had been extinguished. Her dogs are going fucking haywire. They were petrified. They weren't barking or anything, but they had urinated all over themselves. And these were like dogs that would die for Jane, like beautiful dogs. So that, I think they fell back to sleep because they didn't see it leave. They get up the next morning and they drive to this little kind of mom and pop shop, like on the side of the road. And Jane's walking around the store, just getting stuff, not thinking about the encounter, but just getting some stuff. Her husband's talking to the owner of the store, and she walks up, not knowing what they were talking about, and says, was it that time of the month for you? And she goes, yeah, why? And because she didn't know the conversation that her husband was having. And he said, that's why you guys saw that. It was attracted to you. It could smell you. And it purposely came to your guys' campsite. And then they left. But that's Jane's absolutely terrifying experience. Yeah, Dobies are really, really smart dogs. I think they get a bad rap. What's up, Brian Mons? How are you, brother? They get a bad rap, because they're used as guard dogs, but they're very intelligent, but and fiercely loyal too. Sonny, the Wandering Gypsy, how are you? Yeah, Girth. It's a really weird thing to just pop out and say, you know, is it your time of the month? And Jane thought he was being a perv. Like he's like, what the fuck? Why do you want to know, you old fucker? You fucking weirdo. What's up, no cap bussin'? I'm glad that you're here with us, Sonny. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Do something different. What's up? I'm glad that you're here too, Gigi. We missed you. DL Hemingway, how are you? And Andrea Dingbat hasn't been here in a while either. Yeah, he should have said it a little more respectful, but you know, he was the owner of a mom and pop shop, like randomly. All I can picture is that old guy from um No Country for Old Men when Shiger places the quarter on the thing. That's who I picture when I first heard that story. Thank you, Mountain Dew Forever. This channel loves you, Aramic. Guys, have you heard of this soda ever? Has anybody ever had this soda? This is the greatest lime soda ever. Oh, it's so good. It is so good, no cap. Doritos. They don't sell it in our grocery store. I had to go to the hardware store. I bought a case of this at the hardware store. And I love lime. Everyone knows that I love lime. All right. Aramic, thank you so much, dude. You are just too much, Aramak. And that's why I have one of your favorite experiences right here. I do like it because it has real sugar in it. You're right, Cherry, but I love lime. Lime is my, like, people who have been on the live for a long time know that, like, my favorite soda is lime Coke, and it is the greatest stuff on earth. I only seen it. Yeah, they have it at Tractor Supply Truth and at Ace True Value, like Ace Noble hardware store. That's where I got mine. But lime Coke is the greatest soda on fucking earth. It is so good. All right, Aramic, this one goes out to you, my friend. This event happened in 2010. I was living in Hamilton, Montana with my current girlfriend. It was late at night, and my friend and I would always go for a drive. We parked at an empty parking lot outside of a gym that was on the outskirts of town. My friend had his medical marijuana license, and he would smoke while we talked about random stuff. We worked together, and workplace drama was our usual discussion. After we were done hanging out, I started the car and headed back into town. We started heading towards the outlet to take a right onto the main street. I was about 50 feet away from this outlet when I decided the mood called for some loud music. To give you an idea to what our field of view is, the outlet had two white fences on each side that spanned the property. It was one of those fences that had two logs with spaces in between them, so vision was partially blocked on the right and left side. Granted, it was pretty damn dark. That is when shit hit the fan. Out of the corner of my eye, I see what appeared to be a dusty brown ball or plastic or garbage that rolled into view from the other side of the fence. We were driving closer as this was happening, but as soon as I got a better look, I knew this was not a piece of garbage. I immediately realized it was a winged, flesh-like creature that appeared to have crash landed during flight. I thought my eyes were deceiving me and immediately turned to my friend, who let out one of the most blood-curdling screams I had ever heard. I kept looking at him and looking back at this thing. My friend was so scared he flew his legs into the air up against the passenger side window, as that was going to shield him from the creature we were approaching. I kept repeating, "What is that? What is that?" As soon as the creature came to its senses, it planted its feet and took off flying in the opposite direction. At this point, I stopped the car, and all I remember is heavy breathing from both my friend and I. Adrenaline. As we watched the silhouette of this thing fly away, the wingspan on the creature was at least 8 feet wide. It seemed to have webbing like a bat, no feathers. We watched it until it was not visible, which took a good while. Montana still has a decent amount of light pollution, and we could see the contrast of this creature in the sky for maybe 2 or 3 minutes before it disappeared. I remember my friend telling me, please just take me home. We took off and headed back into town. I just kept asking, what was that? What was that? I don't think there were more than a few words spoken between us. Like I said, I just kept asking, what is that? And he finally responded, I don't know, man. I dropped him off and I went home and told my girlfriend, who was laughing at how animated and serious I was. The next day I woke up and immediately called my friend and asked him, what did we see? I wanted him to tell me first so that what I had to say did not influence him in his recollection of the creature. He told me it was a flesh-like creature. He had a fleshlight. It was a flesh-like creature, not a bird, no feathers. I asked him, what color was it? He told me brownish. I said, sort of gray. He said, oh my God, yes. I no longer talk to this friend as he slipped into an unfortunate issue with prescription pills. I wish we still had our friendship, as I wanted to talk about this event with him since it had happened. We both saw the exact same thing. I am the type of person to laugh in the face of ghosts and paranormal stuff. If I don't see it, I don't believe it. I still to this day can't explain what we saw. I get chills when thinking about my friend screaming. The way I describe this thing is a gigantic bat humanoid with wings. There was not one feather on this creature. I mention this because anyone I tell says that I maybe saw a bird. My theory as to why it was rolling around on the ground as if it had crash landed. I think my subwoofer or sound system may have messed up its navigational, and that another reason I feel like it was a gigantic bat. Can anyone help me explain this? It might be worth mentioning Rocky Mountain Labs in Hamilton. This is interesting. It may be worth mentioning that Rocky Mountain Labs is in Hamilton, Montana. This is one of the highest security laboratories in the world. My ex-boss's ex-husband works there, and the only thing she knew about his job was that he took care of animals. The deadliest diseases are held in this lab, and there are monkeys and other animals there being used as test subjects. So creation, or did they fucking capture it? And we're Libra Poet, thank you, dearie. Holy shit, thank you so much. I know what that equals, and oh my God, thank you so much, Libra. You are fucking awesome. Firehorse can't post. I just saw her. She was just on. No one blocked Firehorse. Janie, you didn't block Firehorse, did you? Libra is gorgeous. Yep. She's my girl. Oh, she made me blush really bad on my birthday. Ah, fuck. Does anybody's hands like break open in the winter and bleed? Yeah, Libra's from the UK. I'm not saying a word, dear. I'm not saying a word. That's between you and me. Hang on 1 second. I got to whiz real quick. Hang on 1 second. I'm going to piss my pants if I don't pee. I'm coming, guys. I'm coming. All right, I'm back. Sorry. So sorry. Bam! Dude, I was pissing. This is weird. Check this out. So I'm taking a whiz, and I literally heard someone's bells in her room. I literally heard someone say, "Fuck you," in the bathroom closet. DL, my surgery went well. And I'm in mild pain. Mild pain. Literally, it sounded just like this. Fuck you. And I'm like, I got it, Blue Days, right here. I think I will, Claire. I will tonight. You know what time it is? You know what time it is? I do. It is time for a lot lizard story. Here we go. He was sitting on the toilet. You couldn't see. I pissed all over him, Truth. He's like, fuck you. All right, here we go. Under the fluorescent lights of Silver Saddle Truck Stop, the air was thick with a scent of cheap coffee and fried food. The rhythmic humming of big rigs echoed from the parking lot. The whirling of a neon sign filled the night with a low buzz. For weary truckers, this was neither a sanctuary nor solace, but a pit stop where they could refuel, recharge before continuing their endless journey. A place where the mundane met the uncanny. Misty was a creature of habit, wrapped in a faded leather jacket and jeans that were 2 sizes too small, with wild hair the color of electric blue, and piercings adorned her face. She didn't quite fit in with the usual crowd. To truckers passing through, she was known simply as a lot lizard. It was a title she wore with a sense of pride, but also with the edge of irony. In the world filled with bewildering characters, Misty was more than just an urban myth. She was a living cryptid prowling the margins of the Midwestern highways that had her own agenda. On this particular night, as the stars flickered like tired bulbs above the truck stop, Misty leaned against the side of a well-worn Peterbilt. A smirk curled her lips. She had heard the whispers from drivers, tales of strange happenings and cryptid sightings around this very truck stop. Stories of the creeper, a bizarre entity that roamed the night, scaring off companions with oversized eyes and disconcerting shapes. While many brushed this off as urban legends, Misty had her own theory. "Hey there, big guy," she called out, spotting a particularly large truck rumbling in the lot, this engine throaty and guttural. The truck's driver, a burly, middle-aged man with a mustache, resembled a caterpillar rolled down his window. "What's a girl like you doing here?" he growled, his tone mixed with concern and disdain. "Just looking for a friend," she replied, cheeky, closing the distance as a frigid air whipped at her skin. He seemed uninterested in her charm. So, after a moment of hesitation, she offered him her hand for a shake, the edges of her mouth still twisted in mischief. "Name's Jerry," he shrugged, before pulling a half-eaten burger from the passenger seat. A light flashed behind him. A truck just took a hard right into the entrance. "That's nice, Jerry, but what you really want to know is, have you seen a cryptid around here?" she quipped. Jerry smirked. A half-hearted chuckle escaped his lips. "You mean the creepy blue thing? Hell, I thought that was just a reflection of the lights. Or do you mean the creeper folks keep talking about?" Misty stiffened, eyes narrowed. "You mean you've seen it?" "Only at night," Jerry replied, scrunching his nose. "Blend of man and lizard or something, I think. Some hippie off its rocker." "Yeah," Misty's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Looks like we need to have a little chat about my fellow cryptids then," she added, straightening up. Just then, a rustling from the nearby dumpster made her pause. "There it is," she whispered dramatically, pointing toward the source of the sound. Jerry squinted into the shadowy alley, amusement and annoyance wearing on his features. "That ain't no cryptid, sweetheart. That's just some raccoons fighting over garbage." But Misty was not convinced. "Hey, they could be part of it," she replied whimsically. "Recruits, perhaps." Suddenly, a distant figure emerged, a tall, gangly silhouette, lanky limbs blended in curiosity, human-like in a way. Its eyes shone like lanterns in the dark, head cocked at an unsettling angle. "Looks like we've got ourselves company," Misty said, eyes wide and unrestrained. Curiosity as she took a step, mischief bubbling inside like carbonation of a soda. Let's go meet our new friend." "You're nuts," Jerry explained, pulling her back, but Misty was already striding towards the figure. As she approached, the eerie creature shrieked, less than musically, a sound that was far too human and yet distinctly more chaotic. With a flourish of her hand, Misty waved. "Hey, buddy," she called out cheerfully. "Want to join our little party?" With a swagger born from instinct and instinct alone, this creature, in all of its disheveled glory, took a step forward. Misty shook her head, bemused. "You're one ugly son of a bitch!" It lunged, and in a moment of sheer absurdity, Misty sidestepped with an exaggerated grace, making a sound that blended a yelp and a laugh. The creature landed face first into the dumpster, sending a chorus of trash cascading into the alleyway. Jerry stood behind her, slack-jawed. "What just happened?" With one eye closed and a smirk plastered on her face, Misty replied, "Looks like you were wrong. Not just raccoons." As the creeper struggled to disentangle itself from the refuge, Misty giggled. "I think we found our newest lot lizard in town. Who knew we would meet a cryptid here tonight?" At that, something shifted the air, a reminder that in the darkness of the night, among the lights of the truck stop, laughter and lighthearted moments could weave the strange with mundane. And for a moment, what was ordinarily transformed into whims of uncanny possibility, at least until the next truck rolled in. All right, we'll do the next lot lizard story, and then we'll continue. Trusting as a lot lizard. Dogman has more than sand fleas. He's got crabs with spears with Indian drums. Vic Lyon, how are you? Thank you for joining. Do you make the lot lizard stories? Or do people... I make them, Days. I make them. What's up, Lake 17? How are you? Gigi, did you get that one? You got that song then, because you knew exactly what song that was. Because she had crabs with spears with Indian drums singing "Hoya Hoya." Craven, what's up? Yeah, I got to get something because, like, I don't know if you guys can see it, but that's my, and they're all over my hands. Like, my fingertips just bleed terribly. And I put some new skin on it, but nothing helps. Hey, bud. Gold Bond. Yeah, I'm gonna try the O'Keefe's. I've tried Gold Bond DL. Yeah, I did super glue. Lot lizards are cryptids also. I told you, Jeff. Yes. I saw a dog driving a drone. Small SUV with a lot lizard in the passenger seat. What's up, OG? Try castor oil. I was going to stick my hand in a thing of Crisco. Or I was going to put Aquaphor on my hands and put my hands in like Aquaphor. Yep, and put my hands in gloves. Lanolin. Bag bomb. Bag bomb's good. We used to use bag bomb on cow udders. Thank you, 30 Rack. If you never used Crisco. I don't know. Maybe once I put my hands in the Crisco, I'd I'd probably get a little fucking frisky. No, I'm just kidding. That's what I was going to do, Bobby. Yup, exactly. Do the old Crisco disco. Yeah, I'm gonna give that a try. I'm working on researching UFO in Fort Riley, Kansas. Jeff, I'd love to hear that, actually. Thank you, 30 Rack. I know it's 30 pack, but 30 Rack sounds better for me. Diddy has entered the chat. No baby oil. We're just using Crisco. Using Crisco all the way. I believe Bigfoot does use Crisco. I've heard sometimes, occasionally, Bigfoot farts Vaseline, though. Aramik, my hands every winter, my hands will crack like and bleed. And usually like that one right there, it doesn't look bad in the camera, but it'll just keep getting worse and worse and deeper. And it gets all over my fucking all my hands. Like my hand feels like sandpaper right now. Yes, Bigfoot is always bent over the gifting rock or the sharing stone. Organic coconut oil. Yeah, that shit's great. It's good for other things. No, I'm just kidding. I'm fucking weird. Hey, ED, have you listened to me? All right. This is the last lot lizard one. And this one I tried to get a little better. I'm sorry. Here we go. In the rural expanse of Nebraskan roads, a faded neon sign flickered outside of Oak Hollow truck stop, proclaiming hot coffee 24/7. Beneath its glow, mysterious shadows dance, sometimes morphing into the shape of a creature known only in hushed whispers as the lot lizard. Her name is Liz, a nickname bestowed not for any unglamorous associations, but rather a fondness for the chameleon-like quality she showcased every night as she navigated the sea of idling trucks. With skin tanned from the sun and eyes as sharp as a hawk's, she draped herself over a chrome bumper in the manner of being both inviting and unsettling. Tonight, the moon hung low, a crooked smile in the sky as the truck stop buzzed with the sound of engines idling and the hum of conversation mingling in the breakfast special of the day, all-you-can-eat pancakes. Trucker boots thudding against pavement, and she heard laughter that was too loud and a little too raw, punctuated by the occasional yeehaw. Hey there, big rig, Liz cooed, approaching a trucker with a belly full of last night's greasy diner food. His name was Hank, a jolly man with a scruffy beard and a laugh that seemed to erupt involuntary. Look what we have here, Hank grinned. His eyes widened as he marveled at Liz's enigmatic entrance. Ain't you just a sight for sore eyes? She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Want to know a secret? A glimmer danced in her eye. The other lot lizards don't see me coming. I can make all the girls disappear, you know. Disappearing girls, Hank chuckled, half expecting a punchline. You're pulling my leg. Not at all. I'm part chameleon, you see. I blend in with truckers, the shadows, even the asphalt, she said, twiddling her fingers like a magician. Tension hung between her words, and the truckers around them began to lean in. Oh, really? Prove it, shouted a wiry trucker named Roger, his tone teased with drunken bravado. He grinned, swaying slightly. Liz straightened, planted her hands on her hip. All right, watch this. In one fluid movement, she dropped to the ground, her body twisting with deceptive grace. In a flash, she rolled into a shadow cast by Hank's rig, completely disappearing from view. Gasps erupted from the small gathering of truckers. Hank squinted, unsure of whether to be concerned or impressed. I'm not sure how you did that, but before he could finish, Liz reemerged from the adjacent lane, this time draped in a green tarp left unattended beside a dilapidated pickup, a perfect blend of surroundings. Told you, she cackled, her laugh piercing the night like an unexpected siren. Nah, it's just a trick, Roger shouted, now furious and half smiling. Why don't you come see if I can make your regrets disappear next, Liz proposed, her sly smirk convinced of its own allure. But as the playful mood built, so did the darker undercurrent regarding their banter. Trucker tails hung low in the air, each laced with a peculiar charm and an unexpected chill. I heard there was a trucker who had taken a lot lizard too far and never returned, inserted a voice. Billy, this time. He rubbed his beard, casting a glance toward the shadows where Liz had just enacted her strange performance. Hold on there, Liz erupted, her voice quivering slightly. You think you can scare me off with ghost stories? I'm tougher than your asphalt, boys. She stepped back, her bravado chipping as the ill-natured vibe began to seep into her skin. Suddenly, the lights flickered and the air turned taut. Each trucker's heartbeat resonated in the thick, eerie silence. The atmosphere became a bizarre blend of laughter, mingled uncomfortably with the creeping sensation of something sinister about to happen. Maybe the lizards are onto something, Hank remarked nervously, making light of the shift in the mood. This truck stop does have a reputation for the strange. Let me tell you, Liz breathed slowly, her playful demeanor wavering. I must have seen things out here. It was now half truth, half whisper, filtered through the humid air, but specters lingering long after truckers left the ugly night. Just then, a loud whoosh erupted, and with a dark flurry, Liz yelled, Back! Back to your haunts! The truckers watched, wide-eyed, as she sprang forward, her form shimmering oddly in the dim light. It was as if she was shedding away layers, one near-human piece after another, in their collective horror and fascination. Then, with a final lashing of her hand, she vanished completely in like a mirage. The truckers stood stunned. In the hushed silence, only Hank dared to break it. I guess that's why they call her the lot lizard, chuckled nervously. Larry Lindman, thank you so much. Nervously, desperately grasped at threads, absurd, tangled now into the night. But the laughter fell away, an echo caught in the tense embrace of shadows, leaving behind the empty truck stop, where neither humor nor horror could reclaim the darkness that swallowed Liz into the night. The truckers would have tales to tell, but they all knew deep down that some creatures, those not of this world, are best left into the shadows, never to unravel their mysteries. Joe, are you still here? Is Joe still here? Josie, are you still here? Girth, good night, buddy. Have a good night. Josie, this one's for you because it comes out of the great state of Maine. I had a scary experience happen to me in 2018 that has stuck with me throughout the years, and I am wondering if you all could possibly help me explain what I witnessed in the woods those years ago. I was 16 at the time. I'm half indigenous. I was visiting my uncle on my mom's side, the indigenous side, at his cabin located in the woods of northwestern Maine because I was driving my grandpa up to visit them for the fall season. The cabin was rather small and could only accommodate my uncle, aunt, and grandpa. So I was told to sleep in the camper that was set back further into the woods. That evening, when as usual, my auntie made dinner and we all laughed and shared stories and eventually turned in for the night. I took a flashlight and started my way to the camper. About halfway down, I shut off the flashlight and looked up to admire the night sky. It was at this point I noticed how quiet the forest had become. There was no birds, no sounds of crickets or rustling of leaves, just pure silence. I suddenly got this intense feeling of dread deep within my gut, and the hair on the back of my neck stood. The voice in my head told me to bolt to the camper as fast as I could. For some reason, my instincts told me I didn't belong here and something was watching me. When I made it to the camper, I slammed the door shut and double locked it, closing the window blinds. I swear I could hear my heart pounding in my ears as I laughed at myself for getting so worked up over nothing. The entire night, I was restless in my sleep. I could not help but hear footsteps and movements all about the camper. I told myself it was just a curious animal and a grazing deer, but my dreams were haunted by something I can't see. Unfortunately, this would be where I have my final experience. By morning, all seemed normal. I thought about mentioning what happened to me to my granddad over breakfast, but worried that he would brush me off as being over dramatic or used to the city life. I let the odd night slide off of my mind as I enjoyed the day with my family and their German Shepherd, Jack. Just to calm my nerves, I asked Jack to accompany me back to the camper that evening to assure I felt safe. The walk back was once again fine until I began to enter the tree line. I'm not sure if it was because I was feeling nervous as well, but Jack seemed to be on the edge with his ears perked and head on a swivel. The night he slept in the bed trailer, I felt safer with my dog here. However, I had an extremely awful dream in which I awoke Jack, my dog, staring at the wall of the trailer with his hackles standing on end. When morning came, I packed my bags to leave in the afternoon, brought Jack out of the trailer, and led him out to the small field between the cabin and the thick woods. I kicked the ball so that Jack would fetch it. He raced down to grab the ball until his full sprint turned into a full stop, digging his paws into the dirt meters past where the ball had landed. He was standing stiff, fur on end, ears pinned back and unmoving. I called for him to come, which he always responded, but he didn't acknowledge me this time. I began to walk to where he was, calling his name a little bit louder with no response. I grabbed him by the collar, kind of worried at this point, as his eyes stared directly into the trees. I yelled his name loudly, giving him a little tug. The forest was silent. Moments later, the silence was broken by an echo of my voice yelling back. However, this echo was delayed and distorted. It sounded like me, but also not like me. I froze and looked into the darkness, holding my breath, only for another scream to come out of the woods. I immediately turned and booked it to the cabin. I came to my auntie, trying to tell her what I saw something in the woods. She comforted me and told me it must have been nothing, but she seemed as if that was not the answer to give. My family was rather superstitious, especially me, and I'm guessing she did not want me to overthink anything. I left that afternoon, and I have not been back since. I don't know. I didn't like that one. All right. Hello, I'm 24, and this happened during my senior year of high school. I live at home near Winnipeg, Manitoba at the time, and by my house are two elementary schools separated by the same forest, joined together by a paved bicycle walking trail through said forest. It was nighttime, and my best friend at the time and I were out walking the trail from one school to the other. To paint a good picture of what this trail was like, for some reason, there were only streetlights at the ends of the trail where you would be entering. The trail was pitch black, almost making it super eerie. Anyway, my buddy and I were coming around the bend just outside of where the first school was and where the light was coming from. But as we approached the bend in the trail, we made it to a point where the light was barely lighting up the trail anymore. I was walking with my head down, looking at my phone. My friend was just a few steps ahead. when out of nowhere he stops and says, "What the fuck is that?" Naturally, I stop as well. And at first, I don't see a thing. I caught up to where he was, and he was a few steps ahead of me. He said, "Look over in that brush. Look, there's a white thing." Now, when I saw this thing, I absolutely froze as well. Sitting at the side of this trail off the pavement in the tall grass was this hunched over, super pale white thing that looked like a person who was super skinny to the point where I couldn't see its spinal bone. I could see its spinal bone and rib cage. When we first saw it, it had its back to us. Then it turned towards us. It looked like a bald, pale, naked white man with absolutely no hair, severely undernourished, and with sunken in eyes, super long arms, moving towards us on all fours like a wild animal. We didn't even say a word to each other. We just both immediately started running in the opposite direction to get home. We nearly sprinted the entire way back, which was 1.5 kilometers. When I told my parents when I got home the next day in the daylight, of course, my mom and I went back to where my friend and I had seen this thing. And sure enough, right where we saw it was a bunch of packed down grass, as if something were sitting there and lying down. I actually messaged my friend who witnessed this. As I said, I was going to share this with you guys. He still remembers it clear as day. The fact that it looked almost like the creature mixed with a human. We have no clue of what it was. Ah, there it is. There it is. Nicola, what's up, buddy? I didn't say hi to you. I apologize. How are you, bud? Who's ignoring you, Libra? Nobody ignored you. When they have that weird disease, right, Caden? Whatever it is, that fucking parasite that makes cats or rats run at mice. That's what I think they are, STL, 100%. Thank you, STL. Storm Zombie, I'm glad you found the channel. DL Hemingway, have a good night. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight, brother. Appreciate you. You know I do. All right, I got a Dogman encounter right here. They sent me away, but here I am. Nobody sent you away. Thorough. Aw. Brian Mons, have a good night, brother. Appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. Thank you. YouTube fucks with me. All right, Dogman encounter, my friends. The year was 2017, and there was going to be a blood moon that night. So I collected a bunch of equipment to get a good picture of it. I borrowed an awesome camera that would be attached to a telescope and had my laptop with various other equipment, but also strapped on my 40 cal pistol because there are mountain lion and coyote in the area, Bayfield County, Wisconsin. Loaded all my gear into my Jeep and headed to an area a few miles away from town. I arrived at the place where I'm going to set up. I began unloading and setting everything up, and I hear some nearby sheep starting to freak out. Didn't think much of it, and after a handful of minutes, they went quiet again. Just as I was unloading the scope, I hear a loud splash. There was a small creek in the field, and for some reason, this caught my attention. I stood up and looked toward the creek for a second, but didn't hear a thing else, so I went back to setting up the scope. Now I hear some rustling, twigs snapping, that sort of stuff, and stand up and shine the light around to see what I can see. Don't see anything, and whatever, it went quiet when I shined the flashlight around, so I figured I'd scared it off and started screwing the scope onto the tripod when I heard a loud snap and whipped around, pulling my gun and shining my light toward a fallen tree that I had noticed earlier. And there it was, roughly the size of a bear, but the head was more canid and the body was more lean. We stood there staring at each other for what felt like forever. Then it growled and charged, and I screamed and fired my gun repeatedly. After the fact, I had found I had fired 8 shots. It bowled me over, and I fully expected my life to end. But instead of following through with the attack, it just kept running and disappeared into the cornfield nearby. Thoroughly spooked, I tossed the most expensive bits I had unpacked back into the Jeep and left immediately, only going back once the sun was fully up to finish recollecting my gear. When I got there, I found a game warden and a couple of sheriff's deputies, and the farmer who owned the field and pasture. Apparently, whatever it was had killed a couple of his sheep, and they were trying to figure out what it was and where it had gone. The tracks were both canid and also not canid. They were strangely longer than a standard dog print. Anyway, I believe this was a Dogman. Thank you for letting me share. Wayne, have you shared them with Jeff? My teeth? Very good. Thank you. And yes, his stories are scary. I've never been a big fan of him. But his research is amazing. Libra. I think his research, he coined that phrase, the 411, and then like nobody was really aware of. It's more sore. It's more of a sore, like kind of a dull ache, which is worse than a sharp pain, I think. But back to the David Paulides. Nobody ever thought about the 411 until he had brought it up. And I think that's amazing that he did that. I like his research on all of the cases. I think he's very, very smart. We have another 411 actually up here that a young man disappeared in Newcomb, New York. And I think Tuesday it's supposed to be 50 degrees up here. So it's either I go to where Tom Mezek disappeared or I go where this kid disappeared and maybe talk to a couple of the rangers. Thank you, Libra. I appreciate that. I really do. It's weird. I like literally thought there'd be more of a a super powerful pain, you know. But it's just this really dull ache. I don't know. It's almost like a throbbing behind my ears. Jeff, when you sleep tonight, make sure mice don't fry your eggs and eat them. No, he does not mention Dogman. He does not. Um, he for some reason will not mention Dogman. But I think I don't know. I think that I like how he's so once again, I'm not a fan of him, but I think his research is fucking awesome. And I like how he doesn't stick with one thing because I remember when he was talking about, you know, possible UFO involvement, then he brought up portals. I like how he doesn't confine all of the 411 to being a certain thing, you know. I think cryptids, Bigfoot, Dogman, crawler are maybe like 10% of the cause of some of the 411s, but I believe my own belief is like 80%, and the other 10% would be like just them being poor hikers and poor outdoorsmen. But I think 80% of the missing people are our government, along with the alien agenda, kidnapping people and doing experiments in deep underground military bases. Just my own belief. Yes, Andrea, I do put a lot of ice on my face at night too. It gets sore from talking a lot. Yeah, 59th. I think, you know, a lot of it is human, you know, like they were either bad hikers or weren't prepared, being ill prepared, or went off the grid, you know, like they were like, fuck this, I'm out of here. Craven, I've heard they do that. Yes. Really? That's crazy. Libra, would you do me a solid and send me the info on that? Like, just send me like, I could probably um, change my VPN so I could search internationally. But I'd like to look into that. Because here's the weird thing with the kid. Let me get my phone. Hang on. The now missing 411, and I believe it is a missing 411 because he disappeared in the forest here. Ooh, Mike Patton exclusive collaboration revealed. Ooh, who's he teaming up with? No, Pat. All right. Hiker missing in Adirondacks. All right. So his name's Leo Dufour, 22. He's from Quebec. Reported missing after he went onto Allen Mountain in the Adirondacks. Now, Allen Mountain is it's a decent hike. It's not like rugged, but it's rugged right now because it's winter. They've been having rangers and the search and rescue party doing 2 to 3 nights on and off in the woods. But And it shifted to a recovery instead of a search and rescue. It's a search and recovery now. So the weirdest thing about the case is, let me pull up my file, is that his car was parked at the trailhead, and when they had gone up, right, they found his footprints going up into the mountains, but then they found them coming down and going back to his car again, and then it's gone. That's like the last thing. So I think, I honestly think that a lot of these 411s are portals. Black seed oil? Huh. Good evening, SG. How are you? I was just sharing that, Truth Quest. No, nothing yet. Nothing yet. But he walked into the mountains and then walked back. Yeah, his car was almost same way, Libra. His car was there. But his footprints went back to his car, and then he's gone. There were no other tracks there. There were no other car tracks there. There was nothing. So it's fucking weird. Is black seed oil, is that like licorice? Yeah, I'm all over my antibiotics. Definitely, it's definitely not an infection. I thought about that. It isn't licorice, okay. But because I don't have a fever. It's just they drilled 10 fucking holes in my lower jaw and 10 holes in my upper jaw. So my jawbone is still trying to heal, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV, a woman's doctor. No anise oil is nothing like licorice. Okay. What's up, Bobby? How are you from Tennessee? Yes, Libra. That's the biggest thing is when I do have a dull ache, I'll rinse immediately with salt water. I probably rinse and spit salt water fucking 10, 15 times a day. Pit T, what's up? Glad you're here with us. Oil of oregano. Huh. All right. I am getting a little tired. Yeah, I take a ton of vitamins. B, D, K, C, everything. Truth Quest. I was just talking about that. That's what I was talking about. The Adirondack kid, Mr. Dufour. All right. Last encounter of the night, because I got to end the night because I'm getting tired and my jaw's starting to hurt. But I lasted 2 hours. All right, here we go. My friend who lives in the Philippines told me about an experience she had. It was around 6 p.m. She and her cousin cleaned and trimmed the excess leaves and branches along the path to their laundry area. At 9 p.m., a thunderstorm occurred, and she ran outside to make sure the front gate was locked and that there was no laundry on the line. As she was heading to the front gate, she glanced over at the laundry area to check it, and that's when she saw him. She was about 5 feet away from a boy that was maybe 15 years old. He was wearing long, baggy shirt and shorts that were a dark gray in color. He's just standing at the edge of this gate that leads to the laundry area with his hands at his side, staring at her. This took a few seconds until she made it to the front gate and checked that it was locked. She immediately turned around and headed back, but the boy was gone. She got goosebumps then quickly and ran into the house. I thought at first she had seen the neighbor kid up to mischief and joking, asking if his eyes were black, and she said yes. Thinking she thought I meant the pupils, I looked at pictures of black-eyed kids and showed her articles. I showed her one and she said, "Oh my God, that's what I saw." But she had never heard of black-eyed kids until I just mentioned it. The skeptical part of me wants to say it was her imagination, but she didn't know the description of black-eyed kids until after I had mentioned this to her, which was after she described what she saw. So maybe it was a neighbor kid trying to scare her. Full black eye contacts. Who knows? I'm not ending the fucking night. Not yet. Not yet. We'll do 2.5 hours tonight, guys. 2.5 hours. And then I'll crash. Libra, have a good night, dearie. Thank you. And don't forget, please send me a little info on your relative for that one, please. Shit. That's gonna hurt. All right. Yeah, I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay, Libra. All right, here we go. So, I want to get it so you guys can see. All right. If there are any spirits with me right now in my home, please open the rods. Please close them. When I went pee about an hour ago and heard someone say, "Fuck you," was that you? No. Was it a spirit? Or did I just hear something weird? Was it a spirit? Thank you. Are you a good spirit? No. Are there more? Are there more than one spirit? Or obviously there is, but are there more than 5 spirits existing in my home? Yes. Are there more than 10 spirits in my home? No. Does anyone have a question? Are you demonic? No. Should I believe you? Should I believe you? No. Are you still here? Are you still here with us? I'm going to let you go now. Thank you for communicating. Please do not bother me or my daughter here tonight and just leave us be. Thank you. Amen. Always got to say a little prayer after. Always. Larry Lindman, thank you so much. Is out here working harder than an ugly stripper. You're such a fucking asshole. Oh my God, dude. I fucking love you, Larry. Thank you very much, brother. Where'd that tack go? I don't want to get a tack in my foot later. Just hanging this up. Ow. I usually say the Hail Mary. All right. This will be the last encounter of the night, my friends. And this one is very interesting. We live at Reserve in Hoffman Estates in Illinois, and our apartment complex is next to an empty cornfield, and across from Barrington, Illinois, there is a forest reserve. My husband and I live on the third floor of this complex as we face another building, but can also see towards the cornfield to our right. We also have lots of trees around our building, almost as tall as the building itself. We would normally go out onto our porch every night and smoke a cigarette. And about a month and a half ago, we went out. It was about 9 to 10 p.m. We usually leave our phones inside so we can enjoy some quiet time and just gaze up at the stars, or even see a pack of coyote roaming around the streets and apartments, or sometimes even heading back into the forest. Keep in mind, the forest and field has no crops. It's empty. Well, that specific night, my husband was to my right, and he is taller than me, so I was talking to him while taking a puff. when I noticed something in the pine trees. I believe it was a pine behind them, right at the top of the tree, not in between the branches or nothing, right at the top. He noticed I wasn't paying attention, so he turned around to look, and sure enough, there was what we thought was a huge owl looking out towards us. So after a couple of seconds, we started to question each other. What is that? Is that an owl? The thing was pitch black, but its wings were shaped and they were huge. I recall continuing to smoke my cigarette as we tried to examine this creature looking around. Once we had noticed it, I don't recall it ever looking at us. We were already a few minutes outside before I noticed it, so I am not sure if it ever looked down at us. I was more focused on its body shape. I could see huge, long black wings. You couldn't really see any other details as it was super dark. My husband was trying to get closer to the edge to get a good look, at it, but we really couldn't see anything except its long wings and its shape. Well, after a while, we said, yeah, it must be an owl, and it's a pretty big one. We went inside our apartment, which is the roof of the building. Normally at night, you can hear animals climbing on the walls or inside the walls. But our roommate, whose room is next to the porch, states he always hears something walking at night by his window or above it. I am not sure if that is this creature. The tree is right next to us, so he can easily climb into the building. We thought nothing of it until we started reading articles about a truck driver who spotted something similar at the airport, which was not far from here. Once we saw that, we were just staring at each other because we recalled what we saw. So now we know we aren't seeing things like this is legit. We sometimes step out for a moment to see if we find it again, but it's been gone. That's our experience. Thank you for letting me share. All right. Oh. I'm waiting for Andy Puma. Andy knows. Andy knows that he's more than welcome. When he's ready, he can come on. The Wolf, thank you for everything tonight. I appreciate your donations to the channel. I appreciate the love. Thank you. Gigi, have a good night. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. I appreciate it, Gigi. All right. I just wanted to see what everyone was saying. Good night, Delirium. Good night, Sonia. Good night, Gringo. This week, maybe we'll get together and do our interview. All right, Gringo. I gotta have you on. Libra, good night. Winter Sky, good night. Puma Pete, have a good night. Do something diff. Thank you for hanging out. Chaga's good. I like Chaga tea. Janie, have a good night. Alan Howell, have a great night, my friend. Thank you. Good night, Troy. No, I don't have call-ins yet. I don't yet. I will do it. I just got to figure it out. All right. I love you guys. Thank you. Libra, please send me a little info on that relative of yours that disappeared, just so I can look into it. Because the 411s happen worldwide. I don't know if you'd call them 411s worldwide, but anyway, guys, thank you once again for hanging out with me on a Saturday night. I know you guys probably have other shit you could do and other shit probably more, I don't know, whatever. But I always have fun with you guys, so thank you. And hopefully I will keep getting better with my speech. I drool. I don't know why. Good night, Storm in Alaska. Aramek, thank you for the love, brother. I love you too. I really do. Thank you. September Wesley, good night. The McGregor, good night. Caden and Josie, I love y'all. John Sumner. All right, if I missed anybody like DB Mac in San Francisco and MJ Bates, love you guys. Thank you for everything.